Your company just announced everyone's coming back to the office, 5 days a week. No exceptions. And you're sitting there wondering if this is the hill you die on or the opportunity you didn't see coming. I'm going to give you the exact playbook for navigating RTO mandates in 2026, when to comply, when to negotiate, and when to walk away with your career intact. Here's what nobody in HR is telling you. 44% of employees would just comply with a 5-day office mandate, 41% would start job hunting, and 14% would quit outright. Those numbers should terrify your employer. But they should also make you think, which group are you in? And is it the right one for your career? Because the uncomfortable truth is this: remote workers are getting passed over for promotions. And if you're not strategic about your next move, you might win the flexibility battle but lose the career war. Let's start with what's actually happening. The pandemic proved remote work was possible. Now employers are testing exactly how much of that flexibility they can claw back. And they're succeeding. The center of gravity for hybrid work has shifted. What used to be 2 or 3 days in office is now creeping toward 4, sometimes 5. According to Resume Builder's survey, nearly 30% of U.S. companies plan to fully eliminate remote work by the end of 2026. 5 days a week, everyone in the building. The big moves have already started. January 1st, Novo Nordisk required all office employees back 5 days a week. No more working from your kitchen table. February 2nd, Instagram required U.S. employees with assigned desks back in office 5 days a week. If you have a desk, you better be sitting at it. NBC Universal moved to 4 days Monday through Thursday in office, and Microsoft implemented a 3-day minimum for anyone near their campuses. But here's the sneaky part. Most companies aren't dropping mandates like bombs anymore. They're using something called hybrid creep. Fortune reported it in January. Hybrid creep is emerging as the newest way employers nudge remote workers back to their desks, one extra office day at a time, rather than through blunt mandates. It works like this. First, they incentivize free lunch on Wednesdays. Then they suggest most of the team is here Tuesdays. Then one day you realize you're commuting 4 days without anyone ever issuing an official policy. They're boiling the frog slowly, and most employees don't even notice until they're already cooked. The question is whether you're paying attention. And here's the career math that should wake you up. Remote and hybrid workers are being passed over for promotions, not because they're less productive, but because they're less visible. Axios put it bluntly: as employers prioritize in-person workers for promotions and career opportunities, remote and hybrid workers are being left behind. That's not opinion. That's what's happening. Here's what makes this especially interesting. Gen Z, the generation everyone assumes wants to work from bed forever, is actually choosing office time. On purpose. They've done the math. They've watched older colleagues get passed over for promotions while working remotely. And they're choosing visibility over flexibility because they understand the trade-off. That's the uncomfortable truth for remote work advocates. Even if you perform better from home, you may advance slower if your competitors are building relationships in person. So let's get tactical. What do you actually do when your company announces RTO? First, don't react emotionally. The employees who immediately threaten to quit lose all their negotiating power. Step 1. Assess your leverage. If you have in-demand skills, especially in AI, machine learning, or specialized engineering, you have negotiating power. Companies mandating strict RTO are bleeding talent to remote-first competitors. Step 2. Negotiate the specifics, not the principle. Don't demand full remote if that's a non-starter. Instead, negotiate which days, core hours, and exceptions for focused work. Specifics are easier wins than absolutes. Here's the exact language that works. I'm committed to being present for collaboration and team moments. Can we discuss which specific days would be most valuable for the team to have me in person? That framing matters. You're not asking for permission to stay home. You're asking which specific presence would be most valuable. It positions you as collaborative, not resistant. Now, let's talk about when RTO might actually help your career. Because here's what the remote work evangelists won't tell you. Sometimes coming back is the smart play. If you're early in your career years, 2 through 6 relationships matter more than optimization. The people who will sponsor your promotion aren't evaluating your Slack messages. They're noticing who shows up. If you're going to be in the office, use it strategically. Schedule all your visibility activities for office days meetings with leadership. Cross-functional collaboration, the conversations that build your reputation. Reserve your remote days for deep work, the focused tasks where interruptions kill productivity. That way you get the best of both, visibility when it matters, focus when you need it. But what if you're committed to remote work? What if flexibility isn't a nice-to-have but a requirement, maybe for caregiving, health, or just your sanity? Then you need to overcompensate on visibility. Video always on in meetings, no profile picture proxies. Frequent async updates that document your work before anyone asks. Proactive Slack presence that makes your contributions impossible to miss. Here's a tactic that works. Send a weekly summary email to your manager every Friday. 3 bullets: what you accomplished, what's in progress, what you need from them. Takes 5 minutes, creates a paper trail of value. Now here's when you should walk. Not just think about it, actually start building your exit strategy. Because sometimes the best career move is leaving a company that doesn't respect how you work. Walk if flexibility is non-negotiable and they won't budge. Walk if they're using RTO as a stealth layoff, making conditions uncomfortable, hoping you'll quit so they don't have to pay severance. Yes, that's a real thing. And walk if the mandate signals a broader cultural problem. Companies that treat employees like suspects who need to be monitored rarely have great cultures in other ways. If you decide to leave, don't wait until the mandate drops. Start building your pipeline now. Update your resume. Activate your network. Schedule those coffee chats with recruiters you've been ignoring. The worst time to job search is when you're desperate. The best time is when you have leverage. When you're still employed and can negotiate from a position of strength. Let me give you the career calculus on this. The decision tree isn't complicated once you understand what you're optimizing for. If you're optimizing for near-term career growth, promotions, raises, visibility, in-person time helps. The data is clear. Relationships built in person convert to opportunities faster than Slack friendships. If you're optimizing for life, quality time with family, health, avoiding burnout, remote flexibility might be worth the career cost. Just go in with eyes open about what that cost might be. Remember those numbers from the top: 44% comply, 41% job hunt, 14% quit outright. Know which category serves your goals, not your emotions. If this kind of career strategy interests you, subscribe. We cover the moves that actually matter every week, not theory, but tactics you can use immediately. Now let's talk about the hidden opportunity in all this chaos. Because while everyone's complaining about RTO, smart professionals are positioning themselves. Companies forcing harsh RTO policies are bleeding talent. That talent has to go somewhere. And remote-first companies are happily scooping them up. If you want remote, target those employers specifically. Look for companies that were born remote, not pandemic converts. GitLab, Automatic, Zapier, these companies built their entire cultures around distributed work. They're not going back because there's nothing to go back to. Conversely, if you want to accelerate your career and don't mind the commute, this is your moment. With 41% of employees job hunting over RTO, competition for in-office roles just dropped. The people who show up while others quit become visible by default. Sometimes the easiest path to promotion is being present when everyone else leaves. Counterintuitive but mathematically true. Fast Company points out that rigid mandates are increasingly outdated in a hybrid workplace. But outdated doesn't mean gone. You have to play the game as it exists, not as it should be. Here's my final take on all this. The RTO wars aren't really about productivity or collaboration. They're about power. Who decides where, when, and how work gets done? You can't control what your company decides. But you can control how you respond. Every mandate is a choice point, an opportunity to reassess what you want from your career. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? Growth and visibility? Flexibility and balance? A complete change of scenery? Your answer should drive your response to any RTO policy. And remember, this isn't a one-time decision. The smart professionals reassess every 6 months. What works in year 3 of your career might not work in year 6. The market will keep shifting. Policies will keep changing. The only constant is your ability to make informed choices rather than reactive ones. So here's your cheat code for the week. Before you rage quit over RTO or grudgingly comply, do the math. Assess your leverage. Understand the career implications. Then make the move that serves your goals. Whether that's negotiating flexibility, Embracing in-person time for visibility or finding a company that respects how you work best, make it a strategic choice, not an emotional reaction. The RTO mandate is their move. How you respond is yours. Make it count.